welcome to the Coterie Club Podcast, where we geek out over the consumer podcasts. We are huge fans of the professional comedians Greg Warren, Tim Convy, and Sean O'Brien, the hosts of the consumer podcast. But don't worry, we're not comedians. If we accidentally make you laugh, we'll just call it accidental genius. My name is Nathan Taylor, your unofficial host, and with me, Amy Coates, the one who actually does the homework.
A little bit.
A little bit. And then Mookie Blaylock, our in-house ball cap aficionado / expert.
Hey, I'm ready to rock and roll. I am excited to talk about hats today. There were some good hats in this episode, but I know we got to talk about other things first.
That's right.
I am digging the one you're wearing tonight, though.
You like that? You're an IU alum as well, right?
I am.
I thought so. I graduated Indiana in 2015.
Awesome. Yep. 96.
Yeah, I probably should have graduated a lot longer before that, but I didn't do a whole lot of going to class the first time I went to college. So,
Details.
Yes, exactly. Hey, so today's episode that we're going back to, what episode number is this? I don't know. That's actually what we're going to talk about, right?
Right.
We can't really figure that out. We don't really know.
Yeah.
This is the first time we see that episode number joke come up, and it was pretty good. I kind of forgot the origins of that, so I was really excited to hear that.
Yeah, so we're talking about Southwest Airlines. So that's who we're at. So I don't know. It's funny because this was actually before they officially changed from the herd / cattle style entrance onto the planes to now assigned seating. And it's funny because I don't know if anybody all caught the radio show where Sean was on the court show, the local St. Louis, or caught any part of that?
No, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Is that the one just earlier this week or last week that he was on recently?
Yeah.
I turned it on and then instantly got distracted, but I remember that he was on it.
Yeah. It's funny because the reason why I'm bringing that up specifically is because I caught the part that he went on his rant about how he doesn't like the change. He wished it was back the way that it was before, where you have your group, 0, whatever, I don't know, group 1A, group 1B, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then, us minions are, group 12.
Right.
Right. Have y'all flown Southwest much?
Yeah.
I have a couple times since then.
Before and after, actually.
Right.
I haven't flown since they changed the seating arrangement, but the first flight I ever went on was a Southwest flight to Phoenix, Arizona. And I've been flying a lot of Southwest since. I don't fly Delta very much, but most of the time I'm flying, I go Southwest. I like the way that they do things.
The seating thing it's really not a huge deal, I didn't think. The first time I flew since the change, it was I just logged on, 24 hours ahead and got my seats. The second time I went ahead and paid for a specific seat. But it was interesting because I was traveling with my mom, and my mom can walk, but she can't walk those distances. And so we're always the wheelchair people at the beginning. And I thought that was a little bit interesting because she could have still been stuck in the back based on that, unless we bought her a more front seat. So
even with the people who are in wheelchairs, they're still making them buy their own seat. They don't have any type of pre-boarding for them at all. Interesting.
You can still pre-board, you just don't get your choice of front seats. So you still can get on without everybody there, but you might still be stuck in the back in the middle.
You just have to go to the seat that you purchased.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones that are free or that aren't an upgrade are all in the back. And the ones in the front are the ones that you pay extra for. So
I logged on my way back from the Nateland cruise. I logged on either the day before, the morning of, and went ahead and picked a seat. The front row middle seat was still available, so I went ahead and paid just so I could have it. But it still wasn't the best. It was middle, but I had more leg room.
Where's the cutoff? Where's the cutoff from these seats cost X amount of dollars more than these seats?
If you look when you go to book, they like you'll hover over a seat and it'll tell you how much it is. I think the aisle seats
Okay.
are more expensive, the front seats are more expensive, the back middle seats are cheaper. I mean, they're very specific by seat how much your upgrade cost is.
Even the emergency aisle, which is odd. When I went on there was like it was a surcharge. Even it wasn't as much as the front seats were, but the ones at the emergency exit were still a surcharge because it was still in the front half of the airplane. It was like a third less though than like the front seats. So it wasn't
Yeah.
like I
Well,
thought that was really weird.
those seats are especially coveted for people 6 feet and over.
Yeah. I always like to sit in that seat personally. That's my, I'm like, are you okay with helping other people? I'm like, yeah, as long as I don't have to sit there and bang my knees against the person in front of me
Yeah.
all the time just to try to get out of my seat,
Right.
I can cross my legs. I'm perfectly fine with opening a door.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was interesting, like the difference between before and after, because that's literally the last two times that I actually went on the airplane was before the whole change and then after. And I honestly I ended up with the same roughly seat location as before. So
Right.
it just this time I had to pick it. Last time I just
So it really doesn't matter for us proletariats. That's what you're telling me.
exactly. Yes.
Well, and on the way down, when I was traveling with my mom, we didn't pay for our seats, but I was able to get there like right at 24 hours before the flight, and I was able to get front row center that it was still open. Like that was what it assigned
Oh,
me.
wow.
Um, and then it took me a while to get logged into my mom's to get hers, so she was further in the back on the aisle, and then I just ended up switching with her so she didn't have to walk as far. But
Right.
it was so I guess that middle front seat is not coveted by anybody.
I don't know of anybody that's ever coveted a middle seat
Right.
unless you're two parents traveling with a toddler.
Yes.
You want all three of those seats.
Yes. Yeah. Well, one other thing okay, so Rollin King, the guy was hilarious, but I have to say that the one thing I felt that they missed, specifically on the Wild Goose airline, which is how this whole thing started with Southwest,
Hmm.
they made a lot of bits about jokes, but um, well, it was a Goose airline, but that's what they missed. They missed Wild Goose Chase. They missed that bit. I was like, what? I'm sitting there listening to this again. I'm like, it's a Wild Goose Chase. Come on, Sean or Tim or
Come on,
Greg.
guys.
Like,
Yeah,
it's right there for you. Here's
pick it up, pick it up.
I'm like,
Yeah, they try hard for some of them, and then some of the other ones they just they totally miss.
but that's the first thing came to my head when I saw that it was called that. I'm like, yeah, who knows where they were flying to because it was just a wild goose chase.
Yeah, I would have gone the I didn't pick up on that one, but I would have gone the Top Gun route. Talk to me, Goose.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's a
Native
good one too.
native goose. The pattern's full.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Have a coffee in your hand while you say that. Um, I've watched that movie maybe a few times since I was in the Navy. Therefore, it's required watching.
Is it
Hundreds of
required viewing in the Navy? Navy
no,
Top Gun?
not really, not really. But I can tell you on AFARTS it was on like nonstop. Like when we were out at sea, it was like rolling between Victory at Sea and Top Gun, and it just was on like repeat on a channel.
Crimson Tide never made it in there.
I I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, Crimson Tide
Yeah,
is such a good movie. Denzel
how to,
Washington, oh, it's
You may have
fantastic.
you may have been past my time when I was on there too. So this was
I'd have
back
gone
in the
for
early 90s.
I'd have gone for Down Periscope.
Also a
Down
great
Periscope's a
movie.
good one.
Yes.
Down
Kelsey Grammer.
Periscope's a good one.
Yeah.
Wasn't that basically what Airplane was to it's like wasn't that like a almost no, it wasn't like a direct parody of another
Airplane was much funnier. Airplane is the
well absolutely
is the that's like the top
the
of
gold standard.
the gold
Yeah,
standard of things. What's your
I don't
Becky
think
Victor?
Down Periscope. I don't think Down Periscope was a parody of anything. I think it was its own
Okay.
movie on its own.
It was.
Okay.
Its own movie on its own. That's extremely redundant, but it was very good. I enjoyed that movie thoroughly.
Hey, it's just like this podcast. I feel like it's a hat on top of a hat. No offense to your section there, Mookie, but I said that to y'all from the beginning. I'm like, this podcast is a hat on top of a hat. We're talking about another podcast,
Right.
on this podcast. So, hey, you know what?
So I did think before they even got into Southwest, the story about Greg stepping in it with the surprise party had me cracking up.
Oh yeah.
There were so many good segments in this episode before they ever even get to the brand. I had that one down. We can go ahead and talk about that one before we talk about another one. But that is such a funny story.
Yes. Yes. It just, Greg just, any chance he gets, he digs on Sean about, dumb comments or things like that. And then Greg just turned right around and stepped in it. But I also noticed that he was much more humble about it. Like, oh man, yeah, that was I really blew it and all this. And he seems to, as the time has gone on, seems to like dig in deeper. Like, no, that's not what I meant. No, So
Well,
it's interesting.
at least he owned up to what he did. I mean, he makes the
Right.
point that if Greg would have done, if Sean would have done that, he would have tried to backtrack and talk about how surprise parties are stupid. And Greg was like, "No, I did that. I ruined the surprise for everyone, but then in turn did not ruin the surprise."
Right.
Which is the funniest part that guy thought that literally he was talking about somebody else or like he wasn't talking about him.
Yeah, he thought that Greg was the idiot.
Well, didn't they get something out of that? I mean, Greg, he came through, of course, and
Yeah, he's like, you better be funny.
right.
And everybody's giving Tim a hard time. He's like, dude, I didn't even want the guy here. You all wanted him here. I'm washing my hands of this.
Yeah. Speaking of Greg being funny, I laughed extremely hard and I was a little bit taken aback. I had to clutch my pearls just a second. Sean is ranked 5th among everyone in the podcast. I'm trying to figure out who is 4th. Or wait a minute. So there's 4 people in the room. There's Greg,
Right.
Sean, Tim, and Randy. Who is this invisible person that is between Sean and the next rung of podcast people?
The table.
I'm good. Yeah, I was going to say that too. It was.
I got you so bad.
That's a good one. The table's good.
Yeah, we'll learn more coming up how integral the table is to the
Yeah, the table does become its own character. So yeah, I was gonna try and come up with something else funny, but I can't beat that. That the table is the 4th person.
Yeah.
And Sean is way above the table. Let's just go ahead and get that out there.
Okay.
Sean outranks the table by leaps and bounds. I don't know what Greg's thinking.
Right. Right. And this was the kind of the I have marked the early establishment as Sean as the dumb guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which he, Greg throws him all the zingers and then did something just as dumb.
Yeah.
So that's how it all just comes right around to bite you in the butt.
Yeah, for sure. I like the arm wrestling bit, but I gotta say though, have you guys ever watched Over the Top? Either one of you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I think I
Absolutely.
have.
Have I watched Over the Top?
Okay.
You talking about if I watched Over the Top? I had a buddy in college. I officiate high school sports,
Uh-huh.
and he told me that when I walk onto a football field to be an official, it's almost like it's almost like Sylvester Stallone flipping a switch, flipping his switch in Over the Top. And I've always thought about that. I love that movie. That is such a campy, dumb movie, but it is
Oh yeah.
so good. Amy, you got to watch Over the Top. Do you like Sylvester Stallone?
I, sure, well enough. I mean, I don't dislike him. I have to
Yeah.
look it up now. It's been, oh gosh, 87.
We need to
Yeah.
work on your movie catalog.
You know what? I thought it was good. I mean, I've got some really obscure movie lines in my little mental Rolodex, but that's not one that I have.
I literally don't think I've watched that since 1987 or maybe 88 because I believe that was one that me and my buddies watched on Blockbuster. There's a thing we could do about. Never
I can't remember the last time I've seen that movie either, but it's fantastic. Makes me want to watch it again.
Yeah,
Yeah, that Herb Kelleher, he was just unhinged in so many ways.
totally.
I mean, if it's better to ask forgiveness than permission was a person, that would be him because he would just go guns a-blazing until he was told not to.
Yeah, I never got to ride Southwest when they had the girls that were dressed inappropriately to steward flights.
And
No,
that is the beginning of Greg's commenting on women.
Well, I thought about that this episode too. They started talking about Bar Raffaele doing
Mhm.
the commercials. Is this the first incident of Greg speaking about an attractive woman? And I don't know. I mean,
yes.
I don't know if we want to start cataloging these. I want to start cataloging them, but I do not want Greg Warren to be mad at me if he ever hears this. Him the
Right.
the chances of him hearing this are very slim, I know, but I definitely don't want him to get offended that I track every single time that he calls a girl attractive. But this was the first one. He talked a lot about how she was very pretty, and she is very pretty. I mean, she's a supermodel, so not a secret, but it was
But
definitely, I think, the first time we hear it.
well, we wouldn't be the first ones to catalog it, and we wouldn't have even thought about it if somebody else hadn't made a comment.
That's true.
So this
That's
isn't
true.
us coming up with it. This is us just kind of tracking it.
This is the coterie that's already come up with these things. We're just reporters, Greg. If you happen to be watching, so don't shoot the
Right.
messenger. How about that?
That's right. That's right.
Well, go ahead and
But
go ahead and
that's
apologize in advance.
exactly. So yeah, and the thing about the promotion with the premium alcohol and how for those however many months Texas was the largest liquor distributor
Oh yeah.
in, or Southwest was the largest liquor distributor in Texas for that period of time. That was funny.
Can you imagine taking a flight and walking off with a fifth of premium bourbon?
No.
No.
Was it a fifth or was it a
I mean, it
like a
was a
one?
bottle. I mean, it was a bottle of. Was it one of the little bitty ones, or was it like a bottle?
The
I thought they were
airline
talking about a
bottles?
big bottle. I
Yeah,
thought
I
they were
don't
talking
know.
about like a fifth, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah. Who knows?
They
They
didn't
didn't really say that.
release.
Yeah.
We can do some quick research.
Yep, that's what I was just thinking
I mean,
too.
like they do have the airline bottles, which are just basically a shot of alcohol,
Right.
where it's one serving of alcohol, which every airline has. Um,
Hmm.
The Google machine is moving. During
yeah,
the famous early 1970s promotion, Southwest Airlines gave away big bottles,
a
specifically
fifth.
fifths, of liquor. Starting in
Wow.
February 1973, to complete with Braniff Airlines, Southwest offered passengers a choice. $13 a ticket, or $26 to receive a free premium fifth of Chivas, Crown Royal, or Smirnoff, which they didn't have bourbon, so I probably would have turned them down. But
Yeah. Well, bourbon,
You'd have
that's
gone
more
for the
expensive.
$13.
bourbon's a little bit more expensive than
Yeah. I don't think they could have
vodka.
done that promotion with bourbon. You look at the
Yeah,
price of a
couldn't
bottle
do
of
it.
bourbon, you would
Couldn't do it with Makers.
no, yeah, forget about it. You get
I
one of them
did
little
think
ones.
hmm
I thought it was funny they said that a lot of businessmen would go ahead and do that and be able to write off the cost of their flight and get the liquor with it.
I mean, why would you not if you
Yeah.
like that liquor? Why would you
Right.
not?
And then Tim brought up the idea that he pulled something at his college too. Similar.
Oh, yeah. Where they could actually buy their ticket through the student bookstore, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it took me a minute to figure out what that was, but I finally was able to put together that they would they sold the promotion as a concert, and you could buy tickets to concerts at the student center with your student card. So the concert ticket was to this event, but the event was come get free alcohol.
Bottomless drinks or something. Yeah.
Yeah. The event was bottomless drinks. Maybe there was a
Yes.
band there, but that was the event. So
Yep.
you're buying a ticket to go get a bottomless drink cup so that you can drink all night long and not study.
He
Student
was
expenses.
Tim was the Herb Kelleher of his time, I guess. Better to
That's a
ask
good
forgiveness than permission.
that's a good reference.
Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, it's like the businessman writing off their liquor. Exactly. Like, hey,
Mhm.
I'm studying, mom and dad. I swear. Look, that was just a student fee.
Right? I don't know where that came from. Um,
We had some good words in this episode. We still haven't officially started Sean's word of the day, but they talked about Advent versus engender. Which one of those words was more rare, I guess. I don't know if I use either one of them in my everyday conversation, but I've definitely used Advent more than engender. And then they started talking about sagacity, which I've never heard. I'd never heard that word until I re-listened to this podcast.
Wasn't that
right.
the word though?
Yeah, it was the word of the week.
Hmm. Not something
That
that's in
was
my verbiage that I use, but who knows? Maybe I'll start to use that word every once in a while.
right, right. And we can mention here that another fan has put together a list, and I don't know how updated it is, but of Sean's word of the pod and has a web page for it. And maybe we can link it in our comments or something. But
Yeah,
somebody has put that together as they've come about. Um, it's kind of neat to pick up on them.
yeah. I'll put that in the show notes.
We haven't had one for a few weeks, I don't think.
Mm, no,
No, maybe not.
and it was like I don't know. I wrote down Saga City and Sega City.
Yes.
That's different. It's Mario Kart.
No, that's Sonic.
A Sonic.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Nintendo
Sonic
Mario.
is
Okay. That's all I can
Sonic
think
is
of.
Sega.
Okay.
I can't find that website. We'll have to
Yeah, I'll look up that.
I know we have a link to it.
Yeah, it's like Sean's on a Masticon or something like that.
That's a
So
big word.
yeah.
Oh, well,
Why do
Yeah,
we think it would be something different?
right.
right. Let's see. But yeah, that's kind of fun. I think Sean's having fun with that though. O'Brien's onomasticon.com.
O'Brien's onomasticon. I don't even know if I could think of how to spell onomasticon.
We'll share it in the comments, or
Yeah, it'll be in the
wherever you want
comments.
to
Or
share it.
I'm gonna put it in the notes. So just check the notes if you want to look at that and keep informed of Sean's word of the day, and you can link back to that so that you'll have reference of that. So yeah, I'll find it and put it in there.
It comes up with the word, that it's an adjective, other words, origin, sample sentence. Somebody really put some effort into it, and the most recent one is February 17th, so it's up to date more so than it was.
I think that's the last one. Like I said, I don't think we've had one in the past few weeks.
No, no, there hasn't.
Interesting. So yeah, that's somebody else is kind of keeping track of it, but it's kind of fun for us to notice them too.
Yeah, for sure. Did you guys know anybody that was affected by the by the whole holiday travel gate from Southwest at all?
I don't think so. If I know somebody, I don't know that I didn't know about it, or I don't know about it.
Right.
I have a lot of friends that fly Southwest, but I don't know of anybody that got stuck that Christmas. At least I didn't hear about it.
Yeah, me either. Matter of fact, I don't think I had ever heard of that before, which is why I just brought it up, because I'm like, I don't even remember that. The reason why I don't remember it, because I wasn't really a fan of Southwest, because they flew out of Midway because I was up in Chicago, and flying out of Midway is probably just fine. It's just the road that you have to take to get there that's not. That's all I'm going to say about that. And so I just
drive through the hood to get to Midway.
Yeah,
it's hood adjacent.
Yeah, it's hood adjacent. And so O'Hare was always been, but now they fly into O'Hare. They fly in O'Hare and Midway both, but they were definitely, their hub was Midway for Southwest for a long time, for sure. So, and not the one up in O'Hare, for sure. So,
well,
but Nashville,
Nashville flies just about everybody, and Southwest is always going out of Nashville. But I never fly around the holidays. I never fly at Christmas time. I will drive 13 hours before I get on a plane at Christmas, and I've done it.
Yeah.
It's so much. I mean, I'll drive for 13 hours. I just feel like I have so much better of a chance of getting where I want to go in the time that I want to get there. And by the time you get a plane ticket and you get to the airport and you check your bag and you get through security and your flight gets delayed 4 times, a lot of times you beat the flight to wherever you were trying to go to because everything gets so backed up.
Of course, depending on what kind of promotions are going on, sometimes it's cheaper to fly than drive.
That's true too.
So it's kind of rolling the dice, whichever ways, whichever part's more important is what you roll with. And
do we have any other things? Go ahead, Amy, if you have something else.
Yeah, well, they were talking about the arm wrestling thing. I was chuckling when they were talking about how it would go down with Sean and Tim in an arm wrestling match.
I think Sean wins that easy.
Yeah.
Easy. It's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
But it was funny to hear.
But they never did it.
No, they didn't. We'll have to call them on that. Be like,
hey, Sean and Tim, if you're watching this,
the arm wrestling. We want the match. We want the match.
Now that we have a better table, I think it can handle it.
The old table would have just crumbled. They should have done it. That way we would have gotten a new table earlier. It would have just crumbled under the pressure.
Right. Or you could have taken it out to the Bills game. They talked a little about the table jumping, either this one or the next podcast.
Yeah, I think that's episode 5, but
yeah.
Okay. I was laughing because I know Greg has made comments, and I think it's already been, kind of early on, because he's talked about Dusty and his dirtbag tactics.
Oh.
They were talking about shelf space and stuff. Sounded like Southwest was like the king of dirtbag tactics with some of their stuff.
Yeah, they were definitely trying to undercut the rest of the industry. That's very true.
Right. Like they were just trying to slide in anywhere they could, and oh, sorry.
Well, if anybody ever had any, I mean, that was like you trying to get a new airline back before when Southwest was trying to do it was completely impossible because the other airlines completely had all the politicians in their back pocket with their stupid rules and regulations and bureaucracy,
Right.
that, and I never even knew that before, which I think is really interesting that they actually had to fly from Texas to another state. Like, what was it, like to Oklahoma before they could fly to certain states? Like, that's wild. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't have a direct flight because of until they did the deregulation thing. It's like, why wouldn't we want airlines to have, like, I mean, doesn't competition win, like, you know,
You would think.
but I mean, I'm sure that tickets, like for the first time that I flew was a long time ago. I'm sure those tickets were really expensive because I know that was before deregulation.
Yeah.
Um, and I flew on Allegheny Airlines, which is a defunct airline from a long time ago.
But it did seem like they were using some underhanded tactics, but it's only underhanded if you don't get a leg up on everybody. You're an
Right.
innovator if you use underhanded tactics and you win. It's kind of like treason, you know. It's only treason if you lose. If you win, you've been conquered. So that's kind of the way that Southwest did things. They did
Hmm.
things that nobody else was doing, and the industry fought back at them, but the people that were flying their airlines loved it, and I think they do a really good job today. I love the pretzels that they serve. Those
Hmm.
pretzels are so good. They're super
The
expensive if you ever try to buy them. I can't remember what the brand is, but if you ever look them up online and try to buy them, there's like $30 a bag.
Really?
Holy cow, not that
Insane for
good.
some pretzels, but they're
Right.
delicious.
The I'm trying to look. Oh, the I didn't quite get the comment about like the large flyer thing where you had to buy an extra seat, but you could get it refunded. Like if you were big and took up more than a seat, you would have to buy an extra seat, but then there was something about getting it refunded that I didn't quite understand.
Oh,
Just
I didn't
seemed
catch that.
Yeah, I heard about that. I've never had to do it. I'm a bigger dude, but I've never had to buy two seats. But the idea is that if you know that you're going to need an extra seat, you go ahead and buy that extra seat, and
Mhm.
you let the airline know, hey, I'm buying this extra seat because I'm bigger and I need the extra space. And they had a promotion to where if you told them that up front, then they would refund that seat to you so that they would not have to sell that seat.
Okay.
But I've never had to do it.
No. I have it's been a couple years ago because I've lost a decent amount of weight, but I've had to ask for the extender, and they were right. There is no easy way to ask for that. There's no not awkward way to say, can I get an extender?
Right. Yeah.
That so you think they would have come up with something to where you don't have to be like, excuse me, flight attendant, I'm
I
too
mean, would you
big.
like
Can
them
you
to
help
come up
me?
to you and say, "Excuse me, would you like the seatbelt
Right.
extender?"
Yeah,
I
just
mean, come
handing them out.
on. Here
Seatbelt
you go.
extenders. Who needs a seatbelt extender? Raise your hand.
Right.
Raise your hand. That person right there.
But you can
Make sure
say, oh,
he gets one.
I'd like to order a double something, some sort of a code word that you could ask
Yeah.
for instead of, hey, fatty back here needs an extender, that's
Yeah.
and the
True.
backward seats, I don't remember. I might be too young for those, but I don't remember seats that could turn around. I don't know
No.
that I would like that.
Yeah. I've
No.
never seen that on an airplane. Have done it on a train though. It's fun on a train.
Yeah.
I think the way they are now, instead of being having your knee in the back of somebody's seat, you'd have your knee in somebody else's knees.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't have enough room to change your mind in those seats, much less turn around.
The other thing I thought was wild is that they were the first ones to do the reward points.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, like, I guess I never really was a super frequent traveler, so I didn't really, ring up
Mhm.
the points with any particular place. So, but them to be the first to actually do that, to me, it seems like everybody's done it for as long as I can remember, as far as like flying. Like when they ask you, like, "Oh, what's your AA? What's your United? What's your frequent flyer number?" Like all of them have those now.
Yep,
That
it's
kind
an
of stuff.
industry standard, and it's definitely a point of prestige for a lot of people. Like there are a lot of people out there that fly a lot that, I mean, it's almost like it's a secret club of how many
Mhm.
points do you have? How many points can I get over somebody else? Or I have this status above other people, and it's a lot of people really, really get into that.
Oh, they do that on cruises too, a lot. Oh, I'm a diamond level. Oh, I'm, gold level.
Mhm.
Means they have more of my money than they do of yours, is pretty much what that means. But the other funny things is kind of winding down. Well, one, we talked that we said something earlier that since the second episode was the crossover with Nateland, he got kind of confused that episode 3 came about and they're like, wait, where was episode 2, and all the confusion. During this one, they just kept throwing out different numbers. And I think the last one they said was like, hey, now we're on episode 65. And that
Mhm.
was,
Yeah.
um, that's kind of come to be kind of a fun running joke. But
Yeah,
the
it's
other
gonna
one, go
it's
ahead.
gonna keep coming back up too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And the other thing that he says, uh, what did he say? Oh, the consumers was the generic noodle soup to Nate Land's Campbell's. Mm-mm, fine. And, and then Greg went on his little bit about the private label products, which really made me chuckle because there was one comment, and then he turns around and then he says, Greg says, first, oh, I don't like private label products. And within a few minutes later, they're talking about their lawyer for the podcast. And he goes, Jay is the store brand lawyer to Nate's lawyer. I don't like private label, but we've got ourselves a private label lawyer.
Cool.
So good one, Greg.
Nice. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up, and we're gonna go to Mookie's hat corner here.
Let's talk about some hats. We already talked a little bit about my hat. We'll talk about it again. This is my Indiana hat. I bought this hat this year to wear to the Peach Bowl. I went to the Peach Bowl and watched
Nice.
Indiana route Oregon. I watched Fernando Mendoza dive headfirst into the end zone right in front of me. It was fantastic. I'm wearing this hat specifically this time though because Tim talked about his hat being a quote unquote headphone hat. You know, he took his headphones
Mm-hmm.
off and he showed you how it was kind of fluffy. And I've talked about this hat before. As you can see, it's definitely got some styrofoam in it that it's not sitting right on top of my head. And I've
Mm-hmm.
shown this hat before because it does that. This hat, very similar style to the hat that he had with that foam up front. So I thought if he thought it was a good headphone hat, maybe it would be a good headphone hat for me, and I'm kind of digging it. His hat was straight black. He likes those straight black trucker style hats. Punk Rock Museum in Las Vegas. Um, talked about going there. He's talked about going there at other times, and maybe it was in this episode. Maybe I'm getting that confused. But he talked about going there to the punk rock museum in Las Vegas. No Ludo stuff there, but had a fantastic hat. Greg's hat, light blue and mesh trucker hat. He likes those light blue and white hats. He likes that pop of blue. This was Martin's barbecue joint. I looked that up. 7 locations in and around Nashville, and one in Louisville, Kentucky, but none in St. Louis. So that's obviously a hat that he picked up on his travels somewhere, eating at a barbecue restaurant, and he's got a lot of barbecue restaurant hats. We need to start keeping up with how many hats Greg wears that are barbecue hats because he's got a bunch of
Majority.
them. It's either barbecue hats or places he's eaten hats.
It's
So
I would say he probably likes those those blue hats because I mean he makes a comment in the Oreo episode, but talking about his blue eyes. That probably brings out his eyes, and that's probably why he likes them.
Well, I'm not looking that close. I'll leave that up to you.
I didn't know until he said
it. Sean had a really nice hat on this time. It was royal blue and had a gray mesh on it. It was a trucker hat as well. His hat was an advertisement or a piece of merchandise from a company called Howland Logistics. And this company is out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and they transport fuel to a tri-state region or to a tri-city region in and around Cincinnati, Dayton, and Columbus. So I have no idea where Greg came up with this hat, or not Greg, Sean. I have no idea where he came up with this hat. I think it's fan. I love the idea that I like the idea. My head canon is that this hat is just some obscure thing that he's picked up somewhere and just wears it because it's obscure and it makes people talk and it's a talking point. It's probably that he's got a family member or something that participates in that industry, and that's probably where he got the hat from. But it's really, really random. A fuel trucking company out of Cincinnati is the hat that he wears. But it was a nice hat. They all had on trucker hats this time. They seemed to like trucker hats. Haven't seen much of a solid hat, not with the mesh on the back. It's fabric all around, but we'll see some of those. I know because I remember seeing some recently.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. We got the hat corner going on there, and if you guys see something else about those hats, you can comment down below. And like we said before on the previous episode, you gotta smash that like button, I guess.
Smash that like button.
Subscribe and all that stuff.
And I get an insane and probably unhealthy amount of dopamine talking about hats. So if anybody wants to talk about hats, I am completely and totally game for it.
Exactly. If you comment hats down, in this episode, maybe we'll highlight you on the next episode after that, and talk about that because, we don't have that corner yet because we don't have any comments yet, but Amy is just wanting so desperately to have her corner that she can talk about, the comments from our podcast. And so we are waiting for that first comment. I don't know. We may have to give them something or something.
The consumers have Convy's comments. We'll have Coates' comments.
Coates' comments. Yeah.
Well, when we get some comments.
So, so if we get people that, if you really, really want to talk hats and, you want to pay for the ticket, maybe we can send Mookie to your house and you guys can really nerd it up and have a good time.
I will bring lots of hats. You can't keep any of them, but I will bring them with me.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys watching. We're just three people just love the consumer podcast. And so we'll see you next time.